Hello, my name is Jason Cassidy, and today we're going to be speaking about the NFT revolution that's happening right now in the blockchain industry. So, I am the owner and the CEO at Game Credits, and we are a blockchain gaming on NFTs, and we also focus on esports. And today we're going to be talking about how there's a harmonious intersection between both the gaming industry, esports specifically, and also with blockchain technology through NFTs. So good day, whether you're over in Eastern Europe and it's early evening, or you're where I am right now in lovely Antigua in the Caribbean. I'm happy that you're here because this is the best place to learn about NFTs. And it's important that you do learn about NFTs today because it truly is a revolution. So a little bit of the background on myself. I got into the industry all the way back in 2012. I was working at BlackBerry over in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, and I was using a lot of encryption for the company. And that's how I got exposed to the concepts, so that when I was introduced to the white paper for Satoshi Nakamoto for Bitcoin, it clicked right away. And from there, in 2013, I formed Canada's first consultancy for blockchain and Bitcoin at Crypto Consultant. We still operate today. And that led my path down a very interesting series of different opportunities. I've done some work in the regulatory world on the Ontario Securities Commission. I was a part of the first FinTech Advisory Council. I was the vice chairman of the board at the Blockchain Association of Canada. So then we're looking at how we actually create sensible laws for blockchain and cryptocurrency. And from there, I've worked on other projects in the blockchain space, specifically Emercoin, the first Russian cryptocurrency that does a lot of interesting internet and identity-based technologies. And that led me to eventually get into the gaming space, which is where my heart really is. And since 2018, I've been working with the group that's become Game Credits. And again, we'll talk a little bit about Game Credits later in this conversation because we do play a big role in the gaming, the NFT universe. But that kind of shows you the progression of my career in the space. 8 years has gone by like a flash. And the interesting thing about my career is that back in 2012, it was only fungible currencies. That was the only thing that was available to actually get involved with. So when we talk about NFTs, it's important to understand exactly what we're talking about. So for the first, I would say 7 to 8 years of cryptocurrency's history, going back to late 2008, when the white paper was released by Satoshi, we're talking about fungible currencies. And fungibility is another way of saying that something has a likeness or a similarity to itself. So Bitcoin to Bitcoin to Bitcoin, or a US dollar is worth a US dollar is worth a US dollar. They're interchangeable. They have the same value. They're the same. Non-fungible tokens are the exact opposite. And this is why I'm so excited about this. We're going to have a presentation I'll show you here momentarily that's going to go through some of the virtues of the industry. We'll look at some of what Game Credits is doing to actually help out push the gaming and the NFT intersection. This is something that I've really wanted to get involved with since I got into cryptocurrency. However, NFTs didn't really get a foothold until probably 2018. So if we look back in time, and it's good to look back so you understand where you are and where you're going to be going. And we go back in time, we can see that around 2013, 2014, Colored Coins was released as a protocol addition to the Bitcoin network. And this was the first attempt at having an asset tracked on the Bitcoin blockchain. And this could have been anything from shares for a company to real estate. It wasn't the right time for NFTs, though. It was a bit too early. The technology didn't take off. There was some foundational pieces that weren't in place yet. And it really wasn't until Ethereum got off the ground several years later and popularizing the ERC 721, and then later on the ERC 1155 standards. And this is really what's pushed NFTs, non-fungible tokens, into the stratosphere. And so when we talk about fungible tokens like Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ether, again, they're the same thing. One Litecoin is the same as another. Non-fungible tokens are the complete opposite. It could be a beautiful piece of art that your sister drew. It could be an in-game item that you love because it was a great rare drop and you're never going to give it up. It's anything that has a unique property. And this is why I believe that NFTs are actually going to onboard people into the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency through gaming in a way that fungible tokens weren't able to do that. And I'm talking about Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ether, a lot of the big networks. Why though? Why is this happening? Why is it NFTs that are doing this and not these fungible currencies that we've known about for over a decade? I believe the reason is that there's a certain segment of the population on this planet that just doesn't get excited about fungible currencies. They've heard about Bitcoin, they've heard about Ethereum on the news. They know a friend at work at the water cooler that always talks about how they're making money or maybe losing money on their investments in cryptocurrency, but it doesn't get them excited. Well, non-fungible tokens are getting people excited because it touches the heart and mind in a certain way. These are digital collectibles, essentially, NFTs. So this could be anything from a salt and pepper shaker that your great grandmother passed down, and then you're turning that into a digital replica that's basically immortalized when it's tokenized because it's immutable being on blockchain technology. So I'm finding in the space, being 8 years into this industry, that it's only the last couple of years that I'm finding a whole segment of friends, family, acquaintances, and just people I meet through my business endeavors that are actually getting interested in cryptocurrency because of non-fungible tokens. And gaming is probably the most important on-ramp for that. And there's a lot of exciting things going on in the gaming world. So we're going to talk about how gaming is actually what's onboarding people into cryptocurrency. And it's a great use case. Again, gaming has been influenced by blockchain since the beginning of the technology itself in a certain way, shape, or form, but it's only NFTs. It's the non-fungible token aspect of cryptocurrency that's turning gaming into what we're seeing today with this revolution. And this is a really good thing because there's a ton of growth happening in the industry right now with esports. I believe if you look at a couple of years ago, the global market for esports was about $860 million going back to 2018. And if we keep seeing the year-over-year growth that we're experiencing, by 2022, we're going to be at about 1.8 billion US dollars. That's a lot of money that's going into esports. And I don't think it's going to stop. It's just going to keep growing as every new person that comes into the world is now born into the world where you've got an actual industry already in place. So children are being exposed to technology at younger ages. I think you're going to be seeing esports continue to grow. The average age of a professional esports player is pretty young. So the onboarding process is actually pretty quick. So I think there's a lot of longevity to the esports industry. And in terms of, Jason, where's esports really getting a foothold and where is there room for more growth? If you look at the North American market, it generated about 37% of all the global esports revenue last year in 2019. The next most prominent nation for esports is over in China. They have the second most prominent region at around 19% of the global revenue. I'm sure that South Korea is somewhere in there as well. A lot of the Asian nations have very much embraced esports. And they're also, not surprisingly in my opinion, an early adopter of blockchain technology. And some of the big gaming networks, including Game Credits, there's a lot of influence, there's a lot of support, there's a lot of development innovation happening over in the eastern part of the world where they're just harmoniously mixing both of these things. So let's talk a little bit about the gaming industry and how blockchain is actually changing some of these use cases for the better. And we are going to go ahead here and take a little look at one of the presentations I have. Now, when you're seeing this presentation, keep in mind, there's many different gaming networks out there, and each one of these blockchain gaming networks is looking to do different things with the industry in terms of how we're going to positively disrupt that. So we're going to look at some very common use cases where blockchain is coming in and it's completely transforming the industry. So a quick note on Game Credits. We are the first gaming cryptocurrency network in history. We were launched back in February of 2014, which all of a sudden is a long time ago. So we have that perspective of being in the industry for a while. And we've got some interesting highlights over the years as we've grown. I'm not going to touch too much on that. We have a rewards portal at Game Credits. So this is one of the things that I want to talk about. It's probably one of the first use cases that's most important to discuss is that blockchain and gaming and esports is about player empowerment and decentralization, taking out the centralized pyramid and distributing it so that you have more of a level playing field. This is very important. It's very powerful for the gaming industry. So one of the biggest things, the trends in gaming right now with blockchain is giving players what they want, more value. And one of these ways that you can create this is by allowing in-game items to be owned by the players themselves. And this is, like I said, something that's been very successful in terms of adoption. Players really are responding with their dollars and their voices that they really like this ability to have more sovereignty over their gaming experience. And why wouldn't they? If you put yourself in a player's perspective, why wouldn't you want to have more money that you put into that experience, be able to pull that back out? So what this means is that essentially in-game items now can be owned by the player. And because we're talking about blockchain-based in-game items that are being tokenized into NFTs, the player can actually own that in their own digital wallet. And this is something that changes the entire facet of how we look at esports and gaming, because now players can actually put in money into that market, invest it into a game, and let's say they put $2,000 into that game. They can now pull all of that money back out of that game potentially if they want, because there's a secondary market now. So an in-game item like a sword or a shield or a gun, anything that can be put on your player as an avatar, if that is turned into an NFT, into an ERC-721 on Ethereum, the player owns that item. So they can take that outside of the gaming universe through their digital wallet and connect to marketplaces, exchanges that are going to be actually allowing you to go ahead and make these purchases. And this is something that's, again, very powerful for the players. If we look down here, Game Credits is just one of many companies right now that sees the future of in-game items. And when players can control their own in-game items and have more sovereignty over their experience, they're going to invest more time and they're going to invest more money. And why wouldn't they? Now they have a secure contract, let's say, or a relationship with that game that is not a walled garden. And if you're thinking, Jason, why would game developers do this? Why would they give up that sovereignty? Because eventually you're going to give the customer what they want. The players are speaking with their voices. And trust me, I'm not postulating that Fortnite is going to turn around and start making their in-game content ownable by players right away. This is going to take a while. I think you're going to actually be waiting 5 to 10 years before the gaming industry is completely shifted from where it is now all the way over to this being the default perspective, that when you make a game, you are giving value add to your player base and you are letting them own a certain part of that universe, and they can take sovereignty over that. So what that means is that in-game items now can be traded by players. So if you invest $1,000 into a game, you can pull that $1,000 back out. In fact, you might make a little bit more money for that. And so this creates a very common use case, the buying and the selling and the trading of in-game items. And at Game Credits, we believe that the non-fungible world of NFTs is going to be just as popular, if not more popular one day than the fungible world of cryptocurrency. And so you've got your Binances, your Bitrexes, your Coinbases, your fungible cryptocurrency exchanges that everyone in crypto knows about. Well, you're going to start to see the same thing happening with NFTs. You've got OpenSea.io. They are the first true NFT exchange, I would say. Game Credits, we have our own game exchange. And if you look on the screen here, you can see that we have that concept. Our marketplace can be actually plugged in through APIs right in game. So if you have a game as a game developer, you can plug our marketplace right into your game so that your player base does not know the difference. You can actually just come to our marketplace and make use of it, or you can also go to a third-party market to get access to this stuff through the platform. And then, of course, just like most exchanges, there's a fee system that takes place. The game developer can make a piece of this. Obviously, the platform itself is going to make a cut of those fees, and then the market host will. So expect to see a lot more digital currency exchanges that cater just to NFTs. And this is a sign that the player empowerment era is growing and growing and growing. And eventually, game developers that are staunchly against giving blockchain sovereignty to their player base, I believe they will slowly but surely come around, because the market is going to demand that. you will eventually lose market share and customer base if you don't give customers what they want. It just doesn't make sense that blockchain is going to democratize and break down the centralized systems in every other industry, but somehow gaming would be left alone. And we know that's not true because gaming is actually leading the pack in this regard. So that's something that's very exciting. Giving players sovereignty over creating their own in-game items. Now, this is something that is very interesting. Not a whole lot of people are talking about it yet. At Game Credits, this is something we think that's going to be a very important use case going forward. We've created our own foundry called Game Mint, where you can actually create your own type of NFTs. And we'll show you how that kind of flows in to what we've built here with our rewards portal. So we're going to talk about that here for a second. At Game Credits, we are looking to take the whole aspect of in-game items and gamify that experience. So we've actually built a portal called the Rewards Portal, and it is a non-fungible token delivery ecosystem. So if you are a game developer, if you are a blockchain company, if you're not a blockchain company, if you're an esports professional, and you want to start to give your player base, your fan base, more value through digital collectibles, you can sign up at our rewards portal for free as a partner. And what this does is players will go ahead and actually stake cryptocurrency. They'll take the game token, which is the Game Credits fungible cryptocurrency, and they'll stake that money on a given player or a partner, a game, whoever they want to support. And in return for that, they'll earn both game credits and they'll earn NFTs from that partner. So if the partner was, let's say, the Sandbox, who is a partner, a metaverse partner of ours that signed up, you could earn unique NFTs from the Sandbox universe. You could earn coupons in the form of an NFT. You could earn a tournament entry ticket in the form of an NFT. There's pretty much nothing you couldn't NFT as long as you've got a creative aspect to the endeavor. And this is something that has been very popular. We've got a lot of people taking their game credits, staking over at the portal, earning NFTs. The concept of taking a fungible concept like staking and applying that to a non-fungible token ecosystem has gone over wonderfully. So we're going to be onboarding more games, and the games want to give their player base more value. And this is one of the ways that they can do this. And we've got a loyalty point system where as you stake on a partner, you earn loyalty points for that partner. And then you can go ahead and take those loyalty points and use them to redeem for items. And so this kind of flows in holistically to our Foundry tool called Game Mint, because you can take loyalty points that you've earned, game tokens that you have, or you can actually just take US dollars and you can create your own type of digital collectibles. And we don't want to put any barriers on our fan base. So you're going to see some interesting collaborations where, much like Steam Workshop in the traditional gaming world, fans are going to be able to interact with their favorite games and the game developers and create NFTs that may actually be usable in those games. If they're not usable for those games, they just could be a digital collectible that commemorates a series. There's going to be a lot of these type of collaborations with the community as we open up these technologies. And the most important thing is that this is a secondary market we're opening up to. You can have a fan of a game come in and 10 minutes later create a beautiful in-game item. It could be a digital collectible that they want to use, and they can take that right to an OpenSea or right to the game marketplace and then turn that around and make an income. So this is something that's also very exciting, I would say, for players, because now they can get involved in this economically. And again, as players realize that they can get money back out of games that they put in, you're going to see more people spending time and money in these games because now they have a certain amount of maturity. That's important. There's other aspects and benefits to having esports merged with blockchain. Fundraising is a big issue in a lot of industries, and esports is not unique to that. Right now, blockchain is lowering the barrier of entry to actually fundraising, and you can do this in many different ways, and that's a whole separate conversation, actually, all the different type of tokenization models you can do for issuing tokens. But essentially, a game developer that wants to get access to a larger market and get their game funded, if they want to have an esports aspect to their game, they can go ahead into that secondary market and issue a token. They can launch a platform and fundraise it through any number of blockchain means. And this could be in the form of actually issuing equity. So an equity token offering, an ETO. So cryptocurrency has a lot of acronyms. If you have a token that is utility based and is going to be used on your gaming platform or used in your game that you're developing, you could launch a utility token offering, a UTO. If you have a token that represents a security of some type that ties into your game, you could have an STO, a security token offering. So in 2020, tokenization has kind of been broken down into these little different segments, and you'll inevitably fall into one of these. Regardless, the point is that for a very little money and very little time, a game developer, a small company, an indie game house can now get out to the larger global market and capitalize their company through fundraising, tokenization. This is very, very, very powerful. Before, there was a lot more barriers of entry for these games getting in. So that's something that's very exciting to see. There's also the transparency aspect. So in esports, there's a lot of money in the line. There is some tomfoolery. There's cheating involved. Well, blockchain is a mutable, transparent, distributed database, basically, when you break it down. But for the common layperson, it should just work like TCP. It should just be there in the background working, and whatever you've built on top of blockchain should hum frictionlessly. And this is how blockchain works for transparency. If you're doing esports tournaments, which is very popular at Game Credits, we have an esports tournament organizer that we've actually made to give a blockchain solution for esports tournaments. And it has a RNG technology, random number generator, that's blockchain based. So all the payouts are done in cryptocurrency. They're secure, they're fast, they're reliable, and all the pairing is matching up is done through blockchain. So this removes a lot of the cheating potentially. It gives more confidence to the marketers that are in the esports world. It gives more confidence to the players themselves, the fans, the managers. Every aspect of that esports ecosystem now has trust and transparency with another one of those third parties. This is important because until now, we haven't had a platform where you could put all this stuff under one roof and have that level of trust. So this is going to spur tons of innovation, because cheating, inability to get payments through fiat currency have been a problem in the past. PayPal does work, Venmo does work, but sometimes it doesn't work that well. So that's one of the areas that we're trying to address at Game Credits, is to make a blockchain-based esports tournament organizer that takes the heavy lifting out of this. And the nice thing with our tools is that you actually don't have to have any blockchain knowledge. You just have to plug into our RESTful APIs, and we deliver all that content to you. So if you're a game developer and you're listening to this, you should be excited, because you don't have to know Ethereum. You don't have to know Solidity. You don't have to know smart contracts. We can help you get onboarded. And again, we've built it in such a way that you don't need to know this stuff. We take all that on for you. So again, these things are very exciting. If a game developer wants to get these tools, they no longer have to build their own marketplace. They no longer have to build their own esports tournament organizer, and they don't have to build their own minting tool and create their own NFTs from scratch. This can be intimidating. So these are very exciting pieces. Again, the crowdfunding aspect, giving people access to the secondary market to crowdfund is huge. The transparency aspect, obviously with games, we have rating systems. So there's certain age, you don't want children getting involved in games. Blockchain's really good at ID as well. So this is going to come into play. And the last thing that I'd like to impart about all the really cool stuff that blockchain does. Being in the industry since 2012, you watch cycles of innovation happen in cryptocurrency, and eventually you start to get a little bit of a hang for it. I want to impart this upon the audience, and this is the most important thing, maybe the most important thing that you heard in this conversation now, and it also could be the most important thing you're going to hear this entire conference. Perspective is everything. Right now in the NFT space, it is like that movie Far and Away. I think that's the name of the movie, with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. And at the end of the movie, there's a scene where they're running through open fields with everyone else, and you're literally running to put a stake in the ground, to stake your claim to land. And that was kind of the ending scene of the movie. And you saw everyone running off on horses or just on foot to find a plot of land and stake their claim to that new world. And this is exactly what's happening with NFT space. So think of Dogecoin, which was launched, I think, in 2014 as a fungible currency. It was a meme. It was a joke, but it took off, and it still now has a place in the industry. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere in the fungible world. That won't work now in 2020, launching a coin like that. That era has passed, and there is many different levels of incumbents that have come in and more barriers of entry. With the NFT world, we're at its infancy. This is like the bottom of the first inning in a 9-inning baseball game that's going to go extra innings. So remember that I'm saying this. This is so early on with NFTs and gaming that if you have any type of idea, if you are an innovator, if you are an entrepreneur that wants to go ahead and make a splash into the cryptocurrency and blockchain world, you need to be looking at this right now. The opportunities that exist in the gaming world because of NFTs are unlike anything in the crypto space and blockchain right now. There, in my opinion, and this is a humble opinion because I've been doing fungible blockchain at a high level for many years, I think the NFT space has a lot more opportunity right now than the fungible space, just because it's so early on and there's not many people. So this means that if you have an idea from the blockchain gaming world, there's a good chance that you can at least get that idea out into the public purview. Whether it's successful or not is something that's a separate topic, but getting your foothold in the industry and just trying something right now, that is what I want to impress upon the audience. There's never been a better time to go ahead and try doing this. The barriers of entry are getting lowered because of blockchain in the esports realm over and over and over and over and over. Every week I'm seeing it. Esports teams are realizing that they can tokenize themselves. They can give more value to their fans. So you can actually tip or bet using cryptocurrency through social media, through streams like Twitch and TikTok. So there is so much innovation happening right now. There is so much innovation that it would be a crying shame not to try something if you had the impetus. So if you've got a background in gaming, if you want to try something in the NFT world, if you like the idea of players owning their own in-game items, please take a look at this industry right now. This opportunity, I think the window will close a couple of years out, 2022, 2023. I believe the industry will blow up so big that you will no longer will be able to just jump in and try something and be heard. You still will be able to be successful, but you're going to have to work that much harder because you're going to have another 10, 20 million people involved in the space doing things. So ideas will be harder to come by. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I believe that gaming is going to be what onboards the most people into blockchain, whether that's fungible or non-fungible. And I really believe that non-fungible tokens are the next big thing, not just in blockchain or in crypto, but in gaming and in general in technology and finance. So I hope you guys learned a little bit about the space. If you got any questions, please let me know. I've been in this space for quite a while, so I have a lot to learn still. I have been doing this for a while, and I would love to answer any questions you guys have about the industry because it is a fascinating place to be right now, let me tell you. The only other thing I wanted to impart upon the crowd is that right now, I believe we're on the cusp of a huge adoption curve with blockchain and gaming. So I think even this conference, and I have to thank the staff here at Cutting Edge Games Conference for putting this on. I think this is very apropos. Right now is when you're going to be seeing a ton of innovation. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of big valuations for companies coming in, and you're also seeing traditional gaming companies like Atari as one looking at the blockchain space very closely. So even though they might not talk about it publicly, big gaming giants are very quietly in their boardrooms talking about what the heck is happening with the intersection of blockchain and gaming for a good reason. So keep your eye on this. It's the sleeping giant that I think is going to be let out of the bottle. And once the genie's out, she won't be coming back in.